There's a bunch of dudes who have slipped down to the second round of the draft thanks to the NFL falling in love with offense and offensive players. Texans feel pretty set up at offense. I wouldn't obviously them drafting a player on offense in the second round wouldn't be a complete shocker. A wide receiver, maybe an interior offensive lineman, as you pointed out. But the names that sit here at defensive tackle and cornerback make me feel really excited about tonight.
And I would say, too, I would be surprised if they take a wide receiver this early. And yet, okay, so the Texans are at 42.
Yeah.
So they are the 10th pick in the second round.
Correct.
All right. I'll go through, honestly. I don't want to throw a bunch of names at everybody. Like, we're not going to talk about each of these guys. But if you go down the line of just ESPN's list of best player available, this obviously isn't the same as the Texans, but Cooper DeJean, the defensive back out of Iowa, cornerback, some people might suggest maybe a safety, whatever. I'd be 100% cool with that. Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle, I'd be ecstatic about that. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback out of Alabama, hell yeah. Adonai Mitchell, if they chose to go wide receiver, yeah, that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey, ditto. Ennis Rakestraw, the cornerback. Keon Coleman, the wide receiver. Braden Fisk, defensive tackle. Marshawn Nealand, and then Edgerrin Cooper. Like the top 10 guys that are available, according to just this list right here, I am 100% A-okay with every single one of those guys going at 42. So I do feel like for however much the Texans might be aligned with what I would like for defensive guys or what have you, I think they're going to be. I think we'll be pleased with whoever they take at 42.
Yeah.
If they stay there. Now, if they trade back, we might have issues.
Yeah. If they right.
And then and to be clear, there are a bunch of guys after that I'm okay with too. It's not. I'm just saying that like worst case scenario, if the Texans board were exactly the same as ESPN's board. Yeah, I think any one of those guys makes a lot of sense at 42.
The next 7 guys include the names Jonathan Brooks, running back, Texas, Kamari Lassiter from Georgia, the corner, TJ Tampa, the corner from Iowa State, Chris Jenkins, the defensive tackle from Michigan, Mason Smith, whose name you brought up, is right there at 17 on best available. Javon Bullard is a really good safety out of Georgia.
They're
going to get a good
guys.
player.
Defensive guys that are lined up here, and remember, the defensive players didn't start going until the 15th selection in the draft.
Yeah.
So I don't want to pull a Jack Easterby thing here and act like, well, it's really like having a late first round
got
pick.
The 18th pick overall, but way cheaper.
Right. Part of the reason that the defensive players didn't go as early is that there were not like a bunch of Will Andersons available this year. You know?
Right. Who's your crush? What's your dream scenario?
I say Johnny Newton. But Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle,
he's number 2 on this best available.
Right. He's not, in my mind, he's not as far ahead as like of the other defensive tackles than I think maybe some people have him. So like I would guess if I had to put it into tiers at defensive tackle right now, I would say Johnny Newton, Braden Fisk, Chris Jenkins, Michael Hall Jr., and Rook Aurora. It's 3 rows. Aurora.
Yep.
There's not that much separation between any of them in my mind. And then there's 2 guys that don't quite.
And by the way, real quick, I feel like one of them will be at 59.
Right. That's where I think now, like Johnny Newton, I would put Johnny Newton and Braden Fisk just on like athletic ability and upside, and maybe Chris Jenkins above the other guys. But like in that, it's a big mishmash of guys who don't have ideal size, but have upside athleticism, and B, they've all got motors.
Relentless.
Like I talked about this yesterday. I don't know what's gotten into these kids, whether maybe this is just the way they're raised these days. Maybe
cameras, dude. Cameras are rolling all the time.
ADHD meds, perhaps? I don't know.
Who cares?
ADHD shortage did not affect the motors on these defensive tackles. I love them.
So,
there used to be so many squids at defensive tackle in the second round. And I'm looking at these guys. They all play their butts off.
Yeah.
Even Devondre Sweat plays his butt off. He just physiologically can only do it for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I feel good about all these kids. I would be fine with any of them.
Where's old T Sweat on the best of? There he is, 29th on the best available.
Yeah, I wonder about him because he weighs 365 pounds and he really, really, really needs to weigh 345.
Right.
Even if you only platoon him, I'm watching him and it would have been okay in 2002.
Yeah.
You know, back in the days of Ted Washington and those guys, and I don't think there's necessarily Like he needs to lose weight, and he doesn't look like he's not sounded one bit like he has any interest in losing weight.
Tavondre Sweat is 29th on the best available list on ESPN. Michael Hall Jr., who you like from Ohio State, is 33rd. The Texans are sitting there at 86.
Yeah. And
they're both on the board. They haven't taken a defensive tackle yet. Do you want Sweat or do you want Hall?
Hall. Sweat. This is
still too scary for 86th overall.
This is the issue with the DUI for Tavondre Sweat, is that it's not an isolated incident when it comes to perhaps a lack of discipline in his personal life. You know, he had to address his partying with the team and like make a committed effort to not party as much this season, and it worked out. But like between that, his flat out stubbornness and losing weight or playing at less than 365, all of that, teams are going to be nervous as hell that he comes, you know, and with even more money in his pocket.
Yeah.
In a city known for its restaurants is gonna. If he came to Houston, I think keeping him below 400 would be a chore.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. On a scale of 1 to Kyle Hamilton, what's your Ravens fear factor on Tavondre Sweat?
Oh yeah, because he would. I don't know. I think again, this is not the days of Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams.
Yeah.
And Sam Adams was super athletic though too. So it's not the days of Tony Siragusa.
I'm just talking in terms of like a guy who's got some
work
warts
out there.
Yeah, he's going to go there and he's going to turn into Haloti Nada.
Okay, you know what it is there. I don't know if I'd call it a fear factor. They're already an awesome defense, and then it's almost a piece of like, look, we can shuffle them in for 10 plays a game when we need them. So for me, I want somebody that's more versatile. Is a finishing piece or a situational guy, it can make sense. Yeah. I just worry about him for this team right now.
You asked for it, you got it. Are you asking the people what your finishing move should be if Pope Zaza embraced a WWE lifestyle?
Yeah.
At least two. There's a few, but the two I want to get to because we're up against it. Pope Zaza feels like a choke slam guy to me. Do you know what a choke slam is? Grab a guy by the neck, pick him up with one arm, and just throw him down on his back.
I did that to Peyton Manning. It was. Of the 17 and a half sacks I had in my career, that's the only one that I felt actually good about.
That neck's a big target, too.
That's right. 17 and a half sacks, everybody.
Big neck.
If you don't know much about football, just know this. That's a lot of sacks.
17 and a half.
That is a lot.
It's double digits.
That's basically... you
know how they talk about how important double-digit sacks are? Set that double-digit sacks.
That's right. That's right.
17 and a half.
No, it was... Go ahead.
Someone said Pope Zaza would just flick his opponent on the forehead.
I like
it. It falls down.